Hi everybody. We are off location in the beautiful wilderness of North Idaho. This is Mike Bush. He milled lumber for us on Homestead Rescue, and I reached out to him, or Tony reached out to him this past week about learning how to sawmill wood. So we're up here and we're going to learn some sawmilling. So join us for the ride.
So here we go, y'all. Right. 40 horse turbo diesel. I bought this new in 1999 after the mill I had before this was stolen.
Oh no.
Yeah, I went to work one Monday morning, light skiff of snow on the ground. Everything was there but the mill. I was hoping I was just having a bad day. One by 10 down here. It's pretty straight. I should look at the other end and see if there's any cracks, but there's no cracks or anything to consider in this. So I'm going to orient it to where the longest side where the oval is up. And then this first cut, this will be board edges. Then I'm going to the widest possible board cut. Okay. And the rest of the board will cut up like this. I always like to get the skinny ends facing the side where I begin the cut. Right. Because then I'm only going to gain in girth. But if the skinny end's at the other end, then it's a lot harder to not run out or cut too deep or something. You know, I can really. And so what I want to do is maximize the yield by taking half of the taper out of all four sides of the log. Okay. And the way I'll do that is I'll measure this end, and then I'll compensate on this end and I'll split the difference. So if there's 2 inches difference, I'll raise this end up 1 inch.
Trying to get you on video, mister. What are you doing with that? Why are you doing that?
Because I don't want to run my saw blade through this dirt. It will dull the blade with one cut if I do that.
Okay.
Also has a debarker feature that cuts a clean kerf in the log just ahead of the leading edge of the bandsaw blade, so that the blade is always cutting into clean wood. Yeah, but because this was drug up the road, there might be stones embedded in the wood that the debarker will just jump right over it and it'll get my blade. Now on the other side, this is what's called the exhaust side of the cut.
The exhaust side, is that because
the blade's going this way?
That way?
It's going this way, so it's not cutting into dirt, it's just throwing the dirt away from the cut. So it's not as big a deal on this side, but still, if there's an embedded stone, it'll dull the blade. So I'm going to check it. Looks pretty good. I sawed with it all day yesterday. I'm surprised.
So how can you tell besides touching and feeling it?
Well, how nappy this cut is.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, this should be like real clean.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it's starting to get kind of nappy. My blade got caught, which tells me that the set's wearing out. You know, the saw teeth have a set to them.
Yeah. So what do you usually saw in 7 or 10 degrees?
10 degree hook angle, and I set the tooth offset is more like about 24 to 27 thousandths on each side. And that makes enough clearance that the blade doesn't overheat. It's got slightly wider than the diameter of the blade.
Gotcha. That's awesome. I
How
love
long
it.
you been milling wood?
That's about my 22nd, I think, year of service. So when you turn the log over, the main thing you want to check is to make sure there's not debris
Right.
on the deck rails, but between the log and the mill deck, because just a little chip of bark or something will cause you to have an inaccurate cut. You know,
Right.
it'll either knock your thing out of square, or it'll be thicker on one end than the other, or whatever. So I always look down and make sure it's, you know, laying flush on the deck rails before I start cutting again. Now I'm on side 3. The first cut, I said, we looked at it, it was kind of oval shaped, and we decided, let's make that board edges and then we can get the widest possible boards out of it, right? Okay, so that would be cut 1. Cut 2 is going to end up being board faces, the broad face of the board, this side. Okay, so now we're on side 3, and so we're back to board edges, and I have to determine what size cant I'm going to make. And cant is
the flat side.
yeah,
cut,
well,
right?
a cant is the beam that you're going to saw the boards out of. So that's called a cant.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the boards that come off that have live edge on both sides, those are called flitches. And then they're usually set to the side until you're done cutting the log up, and then you put them back on the mill and cut the edges off and make whatever they'll make. You
Gotcha.
know, 1x4, 1x6, 1x8, whatever's in it. Okay, so now I have to determine. I made 1x10s yesterday. I'm going to make some more 1x10s. And we are now, if I were to cut that like I've been cutting those other ones, that's about 12.5 inches. So what I do then is I say, I want to end up at 10 inches. So how many boards are there between 10 inches and where I'm sitting now, right? So I would go, I'm cutting 7/8 inch thick boards. Okay. That means I have to drop down a full inch to get a 7/8 because the blade will take out 1/8 of an inch of sawdust, right?
Right.
So if I'm cutting 7/8 inch boards, I drop down 1 inch. Okay. So I want to end up at 10, so I just need to go 11 and 12. This is the height scale. Whatever that little line's getting pretty faded. There's supposed to be a red line right there. I can see it, but whatever this says is what the blade leaves on the deck. So if it's sitting at 12 inches,
it leaves 12 inches on
the
the
deck.
deck.
It will cut and leave 12 inches on the deck. So that'd be real easy. I'd get a really nice meaty slab for my siding, and then I get 2 more boards and I'll be down to 10. And I might not want to take them all off of this same side. Because by the time I get down to 10, by the time I'm at 10, look at what a nice face I have there.
Yeah.
You know, a nice wide face, probably better than the face on the other side. So what I'll do is I'll take my slab, I'll take a board, and then I'll flip it over and see what, kind of get even faces on both sides, and then I'll just start cutting up my boards. See, I'll get one more slab off of this other side, and it'll have 2 parallel edges on it at that. And if it's beefy enough, it'll go in this stack here. Save it for siding, see?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
There you go, honey. You can get the quarter rounds that you want for the lot siding on the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 Now we're back to board faces again. And because we want to end up with a 7/8 thick board on the bottom, right? Yeah. It's going to be the last cut. So, back to the scale again. So, if I want to end up with a 7/8 inch board on the bottom, I have to start anywhere in here at 7/8.
Right.
Yeah, because then I'm going to go full inch, 7/8, 7/8, 7/8, 7/8. And when I get down here, I'm going to be at 7/8. And then that bottom board will be the same thickness as all the other boards. And it gets a little trickier if you're cutting, say, 1.5 inches. So when you're cutting 1.5 inch thick boards, you're really going every 1 5/8 because you have to allow an 1/8 inch for the saw curve, right?
Yeah.
So what I do, or what I did, I've got it all memorized now, where all the intervals are, where I end up with 1.5 inches. But you can make a cheat sheet, and the way I do that is I'll take my tape measure, and you know, if I'm on big logs, say I got a great big log, they're 32-inch logs, and these are all going to get cut into 1.5 inches, right? So what I'll do is I'll make a cheat sheet, and I'll start at 1.5 inches, because that's what I want to leave on the bottom, right? But after that, it's 1 5/8 inches. So you're going 3 1/8, 4 3/4, 6 3/8, 8, 9 5/8, 11 1/4.
Because you're adding an
12
1/8
and
inch
7/8.
for every
You
cut.
you're going 1 5/8 every time. But you have to start with 1.5 inches, because you don't want to end up with 1 5/8 on the bottom, or you'll have a thicker board that doesn't match the other boards. And then if anybody ever tries to put that lumber through the planer, they're going to be cussing and complaining every time they get a thick board and have to readjust their planer, right? So you want to do real accurate work, and so you start, if you're doing 1.5 inches, you start with 1.5 inches, and then after that everything's 1 5/8, and you just make a cheat sheet. Well, here's a cheat sheet. Looky there. This one was made for 3/4. Now, if I'm cutting 3/4 inch boards, I got to start with 3/4. The next interval will be 1 1/4, 1 3/4, 2 1/4, so on and so forth, right? And then, when you have a big log, you just raise your blade up to the nearest number that is in the vicinity of where you would like to cut. You know what I mean? If you're going for a 4-inch face on your first cut, so it's an expensive cedar log like that one over there that's worth $500 or something, you're not going to throw nothing away. If I had a log that was, you know, say a 6-inch log, I'd drop down and my first cut would be at 5 3/4. Right? And then my next cut would be at 5 1/4 and 4 3/4, so on and so forth, and end up with 3/4 on the bottom. So you're going backwards down the list.
Right. So then your last cut is 3/4.
Right. So that's the thing, is planning to end up with the same product that the rest of the log produces.
That's going to confuse me.
I'm confused listening to you.
I am too. So it's going to take. I'm going to have the calculator in hand, and I'm going to be writing everything down and manually calculating.
You'll have Mike on speed dial.
You know what?
Oh, for Pete's sakes.
Well, it takes some practice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to kid you, but that's what sawyermanship is about, is producing a consistent product. And lest your enemies mock you and call you the thick and thin lumber company, right?
Right. I agree. I don't want to be the thick and thin lumber company.
Hell no.
So how long before you start seeing the stress cracks down in the valley?
You know, I don't get those because when I sharpen, I gullet grind. My machine will grind down this vertical face,
Right.
through that gullet, cutting off any fissures that could later turn into a tear. So I'm remanufacturing this blade every time I sharpen it. And then it'll come up the back of this blade, drop down that face, and go through the gullet again. Up the back, down the face, through the gullet.
Right. So at what point of sawing, how dull before you start seeing?
Well,
Yeah,
you won't see them. They start out as microscopic.
Oh, do they?
They're
Okay.
microscopic fissures. You can't see them with your naked eye.
Gotcha.
If you can see it, the blade is going to break. You know, it's already ready to break.
Gotcha.
By the time you can see it, yeah.
You want to come up? I don't care. You can come up. Bruce and Gabby will get jealous. Okay, sir. We'll let you get at it. Thank you so much for having us up. We so appreciate it.
Well, you know what? I'll say
so
thank
awesome.
you for coming up. We don't get a lot of visitors up here, and so it's always an event when our friends come to see us.
It was so awesome.
So I do hope you'll come back.
I would love to come back. We love your place.
Well, thanks.
Thanks for the tour. That's awesome.
It has been. It has been a labor of love. And I've got to tell you, I'm so grateful that I'm in the position to create beauty and functional space with the time that's been allotted to me.
Yeah. Like, comment, just do
Smash that
something.
button.
Smash that like
Smash
button.
that button. Bye, everybody.